Welcome, welcome. I had so many questions come in yesterday after posting Paul's results. He got 25 times his investment returned to him by leveraging the Prove It Lab. So a bunch of people asked me how it could work for them and if the results are normal. So I figured I would just answer those questions for you. And then I'll also make sure that you have the link to be able to register for it. The last Prove It Lab of the year is happening starting this Sunday in Central Standard Time. So if you check out the link unleashinginfluence.net/Prove It Lab, you'll be able to find the details of it. But here are some of the questions that came in. So one of them is, who is this for? So for people who are trying to be able to launch a tactic that is rinse and repeat as far as marketing goes, and they have a service that they can provide. This is what I am a specialist in, is creating marketing and personal brands for people who provide services, especially professionals. So if you are someone who is in that space, who is wanting to showcase to people, what can you actually do for them? You're really auditioning for them to show them that, if they work with you, you can get them results. And then there's an invitation at the end of the marketing tactic to get them to work with you. That's who this is for. So high level, highly accomplished professionals. If you have a unique process, if you are a coach or a consultant who is trying to get more attention for what you're doing, that you would be very well qualified to participate in the lab. Another question I had is, this is a tactic for building challenges. Why is this program different than, say, other people's programs? Well, part of it is it's a small group. So as we're going through all the tactics, all the different parts of the process, and there's about 300 components that we go through, I am looking over your shoulder as we do it. So I'm giving you real-time feedback, and I will have done a bunch of research on you to make sure that everything that you're doing is well aligned with where you want to go. We're having real-time conversation about it, and everyone else is getting to hear the feedback as well. So you can look off of what other people are building. You get feedback from me, and you'll also be able to brainstorm and ask questions of the group and have some real-time feedback from potential audience members. So it really is a deep dive into who you are, what you're trying to do, what is the impact that you can create for your clients with this kind of tactic, while also building a rinse and repeat tactic. So it's not me sitting at the front of the room, going through a bunch of slides and then off you go and hope for the best. It's very much me in the dirt with you, making sure that we build out something that is replicatable for you, that is going to drive the kind of sales that you want, that is on point with your message, so that when you launch, you have the best chance of making money your first challenge and then continuing to increase how you're going to do that moving forward. So again, not a lecture. It is me sitting there working with you, and it's all execution. Anyone who's done it has been shocked at how much there is not like chatty time. It's more, okay, here's the tactic, let's work through this part of it. Okay, here's the next tactic, let's work through this. So you come out with a whole playbook for marketing for your brand as well, and for the offer that you're going to create at the end of it. Another question I had is, what will it do for my business? So one of the things that this does is it creates repeat exposure. It creates a high touch opportunity for your clients and potential clients to come and hang out with you. When you do challenges, what happens is over 5 days, they're getting to see who you are. They're getting to see how you think. They're getting to see how you educate. They're getting to see how you serve. And so it is a really good time for you to be auditioning, putting your best foot forward to show them what you can actually do for them. You're also giving them the opportunity to make an advancement for themselves. So for some people, when they're building their challenge, they are going to show, what they do uniquely and help people move through that. Or they're going to get one of the pieces that people get stuck in their process and get that out of the way by bringing them through the challenge. So for example, with my challenge, when I run it, I'm getting rid of a whole bunch of the mindset issues. I'm also letting my potential clients audition for me because I'm seeing how they interact in the room. And that's one of the beautiful things about the Prove It Lab, is it helps you to design a challenge that not only allows you to audition for your clients, but it allows your potential clients to audition for you, so that when you are deciding to get on a sales call with someone, or you're deciding, maybe I want them to join my medium or high ticket program, you have had the chance to do a little bit of screening and see if their attitude, if they take responsibility, if they are actually coachable in that room, especially if you're going to be running group programs. If people come into your challenge, which you're building out with the Prove It Lab, and you find that people are not willing to open up, they're not willing to be vulnerable, well, they're not going to do very well in a group program where you're expecting people to participate full out, be able to help with each other's tactics as well, and also be vulnerable so that everyone can learn from each other. So that's one of the beautiful things I love about challenges is I can pinpoint, okay, you're going to be a great client, you're not going to be a great client, and I will teach you the psychology of how to pull that out from your audience members as well when you are doing a challenge. As far as the outcomes that people can expect, if you do this and you do it rinse and repeat, what I recommend is once you've built your challenge through the Prove It Lab, you do it every month. So you have 12 opportunities for high touch programs for people to come in who may or may not be paying you anything for it. For your first 6 challenges, I recommend you don't charge anything for it. So you get as many people through, you get as much data from it as possible, you get as much feedback from it as possible so that you can actually know better what your audience wants from you. And this is a great way if you are newly starting out with putting your services out there. It's a great way to get information, do some research, test what works, get rid of what doesn't work. This also dictates your content moving forward. So it is a beautiful way to really get to know your audience and level up your tactics as you're doing it. The other outcomes you can expect is constantly filling your pipeline. A lot of people, they'll do launches, and this is an older way of doing it. Instead of, actually, let me just go through kind of how challenges have come about. So originally when people were starting to put their services out there, they would put on a evergreen webinar. So they pre-record something and then they get sales from it. Well, then that became not good enough. People wanted to have the webinar and then get on a sales call with them. Okay, so we leveled up the touch point. Then that became not good enough. So people started to level up the high touch approach of their program. So they went from webinar to having a discovery call to maybe inviting them to a private workshop. And so that increased the touch. And then people start to go, okay, well, that's not good enough. So then the challenges came about, and challenges are really a great way for people to, again, get to know you, because over 5 days, they're going to have a pretty good idea whether they like you or don't like you. And you want them in one of those categories. You either want them to love you or hate you. You want to polarize people so that you only attract the people who love what you're doing and you love them as well into those discovery calls and into your programs. So this allows people to really get to know you at a higher level, more than just content can do, more than a webinar can do. And the beautiful thing is you're also taking them through a process where they are moving themselves forward. So they're not just sitting back and listening, which happens a lot in webinars. People listen, it could be 3 or 4 hours, but how much action actually happens out of that? Now, when you have a challenge where they have a little bit of homework every day, or they're doing homework in the challenge, there are some pretty big realizations that are happening over those 5 days. There is more subscription to the ideas that you're presenting. There's more ability for them to actually create change in their mindset, change in their approach over those 5 days, because it's not so overwhelming. So again, like 1 hour a day versus a 4-hour webinar, 1 hour a day over 5 days, you're going to be able to chunk it down to be able to give them little pieces that they can use and move forward with, versus in 4 hours, they might get really excited about it, and then they leave the room and they do not do anything with it, which is not what you want. So that's a big part of the outcomes with challenges, is it allows you to help move people forward and make sure that they are actually creating some change for themselves. Another question I had is what happens after the lab? So when people finish the lab, so again, you're going to have a rinse and repeat tactic. You're going to have it all built out. Again, there's 300 different categories that we're filling out. It will allow you to build out your marketing for your email campaigns that are going out, for your landing page, for how you're going to be creating content to support it. So you have a tactic that you can just keep following. And again, it becomes your playbook for everything that you're doing moving forward. So it is a very comprehensive session. Your brain will be pretty mushy. My brain is mushy after straddling as many people. Like, I only allow maximum 10 people into the Prove It Lab so that everyone gets the attention that they need. But I'm going through all your categories, making sure that everything is aligned with where you're trying to go and giving you feedback so that you have something that you can take and run with. And then as you're getting more feedback and more data from each of the challenges, you can continue to level it up. And if you have questions after the lab and you're like, okay, this worked, this didn't work, and I want to see what I can change about that, you can always send me a message and we can talk about it. So you're not left to your own devices afterwards, you have the ability to come back and ask questions. And if you decide you want to come back to another lab, that's also an option. Some people will do that because they realized, okay, their first one was good, but they want to make it even better. So they want to come back and think through the process. And every time you go through one of these things, like the lab is intense. So there's only so much information you're going to be able to process and utilize in your brain. So when you come back and hear it again, you're going to hear it at a different level. You're going to hear more of the nuances. You're going to hear things that you didn't hear the first time, even though I said them, that your brain wasn't ready to hear, and you weren't ready because you didn't have the experience with the tactic yet. So that's a beautiful thing about it as well. You're welcome to come back whenever you like. So that is what the Prove It Lab is about. So the last one of the year, which if you are wanting to really set yourself up for success in 2024 and to finish out 2023 well, I highly suggest you join this last one. It starts on Sunday. It is Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday evenings in Central Standard Time. And I will leave the link for you so that you can check that out and get yourself registered. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn or on Facebook and let me know what you're thinking. And we can work it out and get you into the lab and make sure that you have this rinse and repeat tactic that is so effective. You can have results like Paul, where you get 25 times your tuition as your return on an investment in a 4-month period if you do the things that you're being shown. So anyway, let me know if you have any questions, and I hope to see you on Sunday. Take care.